The sun is finally shining here in the UK and I've decided to come outdoors and discuss with you how I feel since returning from the PCT. I'm going to discuss a little bit about post-trail depression, what I'm up to now, what my plans are for the rest of the year, and also reacting to finding myself in a newspaper. I wanted to talk open and honestly about how it feels after coming home from a trip like the PCT. A lot of people have experienced this coming from the AT, CDT, any long distance trips, and I am one of these people that is always looking on the bright side of life, very positive, very happy, and I wanted to be honest about my feelings since returning home because they have been quite mixed. And as much as I'm happy and smiley, I do have my moments. I'm not perfect. I have my bad days. I have my negative thoughts or my feelings of not feeling very confident. And I just wanted to discuss them today because I've found it really helpful going through looking at other people's videos and talking to other hikers about what is called post-trail depression, and I wasn't sure if it was a real thing. And I remember specifically saying to somebody out on trail, how on earth can you get depressed after living such an amazing life and experiencing everything that we experienced? And I felt I was one of those lucky people that I was coming home to a wonderful life. I wasn't coming home to a horrible 9-to-5 job. I wasn't coming home to something I hated. I was coming home to a man I loved, a career and future that I couldn't wait to get my teeth stuck into. But I did have strange feelings when I got home. I've had so many mixed emotions, and I've been looking into why and talking to other hikers, sharing my thoughts and feelings about how I'm feeling and trying to analyse it really. And I think it's quite natural, and I wanted to share that because I think there might be a lot of people coming back feeling guilty that you've had such an amazing trip, but you feel really negative when you get home, and it should feel the opposite. You should feel, in my eyes, that you come home and you've had an amazing experience and it's been wonderful, but it is different. It is such a strange feeling. When you are out on trail and hiking every single day, you are with like-minded people. Everybody's out there hiking, everybody's having a good time. There's so much camaraderie out on trail. You've got the trail angels showing you support and love. I personally had so much love and support from people on my YouTube channel, passing me such wonderful comments on a daily basis. Everything was so encouraging all the time. Not only that, but I was seeing new things every single day, and even though the routine was very similar, so you get up, you hike, you eat, you sleep, you set up camp, you know, everything was very similar. But every day you're experiencing and seeing something different and something new and exciting. And that is a very hard thing to replicate when you get back home. You just physically can't. And when you're out there, you're meeting so many new and interesting people and seeing so many sights that you're constantly stimulated with all this happiness and newness and adventure. And I think that is why transitioning to coming home can be very different and very underwhelming in a way. Also, when you're out there, you're exercising every single day. You're doing something with your body, you're moving, you're doing what comes naturally to a human being. It's not natural to sit in four walls every day looking at screens with technology and electricity. It's natural as a human being to be out, to be moving, to be looking for things to do, to be putting yourself in situations and fighting really to survive. And in this world, at home, in that comfortable world, you don't have to do that because all your needs are taken care of through gadgets or through convenience. But when you're living on trail, you have to go back to what you're meant to do. You're meant to survive. You have to think about things, and your needs and your wants become so simple and so basic. I think that's where the transition for me happened. I couldn't wait to get home, I'm not gonna lie. There was a whole period of enjoying the PCT and loving every minute of it, and you're aiming for that goal. Every single day you're getting closer to your goal. But towards the end of the PCT, I was done. I think my last month, I was just I wanted to come home so much. I was sick of being cold. I was sick to death of feeling exhausted and tired. I was missing people so terribly much, and I feel like I'd overstayed my welcome, you know, doing the PCT. I expected it to take me 5 or 6 months, not nearly 7. So I was ready to be done. And my thoughts on finishing are not what I expected at all. I expected to get to that finish point and to be so ecstatically happy and to have such a high and such a buzz from it that it would last, and that it would last months, and I'd be so excited and giddy. But what I felt when I got to the Bridge of the Gods, first of all, I was pleased I'd done it. I'd achieved my goal. I cried my eyes out. I don't know if it was excitement or relief. I think it was probably more relief because I'd been through a lot. But the second I turned the camera off and walked away from the Bridge of the Gods, I went and sat on a park bench round the corner near some public toilets that were closed, and I honestly remember ringing Derek and ringing my mum, crying my eyes out, and them being so happy for me. But all of a sudden this numbness came over me. It was, I can't explain it. I don't know if it was because I was on my own, or because I was just wanted to come home. I'd done everything, I don't want to be here any longer kind of thing. But there was also that sense of feeling lost, and that is something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting to be happy and I wasn't. I was numb, I felt lost. I didn't know how to explain to myself what was going on, and I went through the motions. I sat down and just cried, and I was like, right, what now? What do I do now? I suppose I better go find somewhere to sleep tonight. And I kind of went along to a hotel, got myself in a room and sat there and thought, okay, well, I'll book my flights home, sat and had some food, looked out at the Bridge of the Gods. I just felt nothing. It was so surreal. And all I kept saying to myself was, it'll be fine when I get home. When I get home, I'll be able to share my excitement and share everything. And the whole journey home, all I kept thinking was, I'll feel it when I get home. I'll feel my accomplishment. I'll feel my joy. But I didn't, not about finishing the trail. What I experienced when I got to the other side was happiness that I was home, happiness that I was with people I loved again, comfort that I could have my own home-cooked foods, I could eat vegetables, I could enjoy things, I could have baths, I could enjoy relaxing. I mean, I think I did actually go out for a walk the following day when I got home, but I didn't have to do anything anymore. And Derek took a few weeks off work, and we just had the most wonderful couple of weeks together. Everything was so relaxed, I was so happy, but I wasn't happy about completing such a challenge. I was happy about being home, and I was happy about being in his surroundings. And that is what kind of tricked me into thinking, I'll be okay, I'm not going to get this post-trail depression that everybody's talking about. But then it hit me, something happened. He went back to work, and then all of a sudden I was like, what? Okay, I'm on my own, I'm here. I'm not quite sure where my place in the world is at the moment, and I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I left it before I went to the trail. I came home with the intention of carrying on my YouTube, doing my photography and writing a book. And when I was on trail, I was so excited about coming home and getting ready. We went shopping when I got home. We went and bought new furniture. I bought a desk ready to set up my writing career, and I have all these video ideas for YouTube. But for some reason, when he went back to work, I just lost my confidence. I lost that excitement, I lost the happiness, and I just kind of kept going numb, thinking, well, maybe it's just a transition period. I mean, I was still hurting, I was still in a lot of pain from the trip. I've still got bruised hips today. My feet took months to recover. I think I was probably 2 months in and my feet were still hurting when I was hiking. But I kept saying to myself, it'll be all right, baby steps, baby steps. But instead of feeling what I class as depression, where you've got a low mood constantly and you're down and you can't see the good in life, I never suffered that type of depression. What I suffered was quite different. It was more of a lack of confidence and insecurity, I also felt very unsure about filming, which is strange. Normally I could hold a camera up, talk to it all day long and it not bother me, but when I came home I doubted everything I was saying. I didn't feel confident getting my camera out. I'd shake before I started filming out of nerves. I also found going to a shop too difficult. So we used to go shopping together, and all of a sudden I couldn't go into a supermarket when it was busy. We had to set off first thing on the morning just as it was opening, get there early while it was still quiet, because I'd just kind of go into myself if there was too many people around. And we also went to a when we were redecorating the spare room, which is where I write, and I thought I was brave enough to go out on my own. I went and visited one of my friends, which was lovely, but on my way home I said I'd pop in and get some paint, and we couldn't find the colour that we wanted, so I was left with a decision, and I thought I could handle a decision of what colour to paint a room. I got into the store looking at all this paint, asked a man to help me where this particular paint was, and he didn't know, and for some reason I was stood in the middle of the aisle looking at all this paint thinking, what's wrong with me? Why can't I choose? Why can't I make a decision? And I started shaking, and it was so strange. I rung Derek in tears. I started crying on the phone saying, I can't choose the paint, I can't choose the paint, I don't know what to do. And he was like, it's okay sweetheart, don't worry, we don't have to get paint today. And I got in the car and drove home and just felt completely stupid and pathetic, and things like that kept happening to me. We went to a family event together and I feel overwhelmed, and I felt like it was too noisy, too much was going on. I have to take myself away from situations and go out for a walk again. And it is such a transition for me, being so bubbly and outgoing and happy and wanting to chat to people, to all of a sudden finding myself panicking around people, and unless I'm in an open space, I got very insular and very negative about anything that I was doing. And even my writing, I thought I'd be able to sit down and start writing, but what actually happened was I didn't want to sit down and write. I wanted to not think about the trail. I didn't want to remind myself of the hiking and what I was doing every day. I didn't want to look at any of my YouTube videos that I'd made. I wasn't ready. I couldn't talk about it very well. I don't know what happened, and I still to this day don't fully know why, but it does fade, and this is why I think I put this video off, because I wanted to be in a place where everything is okay again, and it is. And I want to talk a little bit about how I got back from that negative space to where I am now and what I'm doing now. But I'm just going to drink some coffee because it is absolutely freezing. There's ice everywhere, and I thought it would be warmer than it is, and it's not, so just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm caffeinated and I'm warmer. The point of this video is to help anybody out there that has been on a trip like this and is maybe struggling or doesn't know what to do, but also anybody who's about to go on a trip like this for the first time. But I want you to really understand that it's normal if you go home and you feel a bit rubbish. It's absolutely fine, and it's probably better to be prepared for it rather than coming home thinking everything's okay and then going down that slippery slope and not realizing that other hikers go through it as well. And that is why I wanted to do this video, because I've had so many people say to me how smiley I am, how happy I am all the time. Is it ever possible that I ever get in a bad mood or feel down? And yes, it does happen. I'm not a superhuman. I am real. I have bad days. I have negative moods, and that's why I wanted to share this. I want to share I'm not perfect, but how I deal with things is maybe different to other people. And I wanted to give some hints and tips. And I think the biggest thing is to acknowledge how you're feeling and to share it with other people. And that's what I did. I acknowledged, because I'd heard about it before, I acknowledged I was going through this. I felt weak, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm somebody that thinks I can go through a lot. I'm pretty tough, and I hate to feel weak about things. But sometimes it's just human nature. You can't be good at everything, you can't be tough, you can't cope with everything all the time. So I acknowledged the fact that I was struggling a little bit, and there's no wonder. You go from hiking 10-12 hours every single day to not doing that any longer and being in a same routine or in your same surroundings, your whole life has completely changed. So I think acknowledging it is the first step. The second thing is talk about it. Keep in touch with your family, talk to them, because everybody I have spoken to after the trail is feeling the exact same way as me. Everybody felt down, everybody feels a little bit depressed or a little bit sad, or just misses it and feels like their heart's been ripped out because they can't do it any longer. And that is normal, and it's nice to know in a strange way that other people are going through the same thing, because it makes you realise that you're not on your own, you're not suffering something that nobody else is suffering from. So it is fine, and just be kind to yourself. My main tip is to keep busy, because if you sit and dwell on it, you're only going to end up feeling worse. So my advice is to plan something. When you get home, already be thinking about something else that you want to do. You might not be able to afford to do another long Thru-Hike because it's an expensive trip, but you can afford to do weekends away, or just going somewhere really special. It doesn't even have to cost anything, for a beautiful walk in an area you've never been before. Or start a new challenge. I've come home, I started hiking as soon as I got back. I even go to the shops with my backpack sometimes, and we argue about who carries it home, because I want to carry it. I want that feeling of carrying a pack again. And the shops are only a couple of miles away, but we'll go do a weekly shop, throw it all in the backpack and hike home. And it's just something I think's ingrained in me. I want to do that still. I'm also training for a half marathon running. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I thought I need some kind of goal. I need something in place that's going to keep me on a bit of a routine. And to me that helps, having something that I'm aiming for again. And we're also planning brand new adventures this year, so that's something to look forward to. So have something to look forward to. Don't just come home and think that this is your life, you've just got to go to work. Keep that work-life balance, that's really important. Next, I would say simplify your life. The biggest challenge for me personally was coming home and having so many external influences affect what I do, how I behave, where I go, and my emotions and my feelings. Out on trail, you're kind of your own person, you're in control of your own life. Any decision you make is your decision. Whether you get up at a certain time, whether you stop walking at a certain time, where you go, how far you go, who you talk to. You can put your head down and ignore people, or you can put your head up and chat away for an hour. Everything is your decision, and you're not influenced by anybody. I think the only influences are where you have to go get food, and where your water sources are. That's pretty much the biggest thing you've got to deal with on trail. And then all of a sudden you're coming home and you've got the news constantly streaming in at you about everything that's happening in the world, which I think is quite stressful in itself. You've got billboards or advertisements on anything you look at. You can just be walking somewhere and there's an advertisement on the shop, or you can open up something on your Instagram or your YouTube and you've got all your advertisements everywhere. You've got all these external things all the time, and it can be so overwhelming when you get home. Even phone calls, people ringing you up when you've not asked them to ring you up, whether it's a telesales person or just somebody you don't want to talk to. You have to deal with all that, and out on the trail you don't. So all of a sudden your life has got busy. So if you simplify, it takes away an awful lot of things like that. Now, anyone that's been watching my channel for a while knows I'm a bit of a minimalist. Not an extreme one, but I like simple living. I like keeping things simple. I like keeping my belongings to a minimum where possible. And to me, that helps me control my own little world. I don't want to have too many choices. I don't want to have a lot of stuff that's taking up space in my house, my home, my life, and my mind. I like to keep things as minimal as possible so I feel like I can breathe better. But it's not just the stuff in your house. To me, minimalism is about everything in your life, and that includes people. So if you've come home off trail and you're mixing with people that you've got no interest in keeping in touch with, but you're doing it because you feel like you have to, I would look at those relationships and think, are they worth your time? Would you rather be on your own? Would you rather be doing something else than spending time with other people? And sometimes it might be worth saying goodbye to people on that basis, not out of any hard feelings, but just to keep your life simple. And again, it's not just belongings, it's everything. I got home and I was in such a habit of when I got into towns, I'd try and read through all my comments and read through all my posts and read through all my messages and emails, that when I got home, I got into that habit of when I wake up in the morning, I'd reach for my phone and start looking at everything on it. Or last thing at night, I'd try and catch up on some comments or some messages. But I've even simplified things like that. Now, I try and only look at my messages at a certain time in the day, definitely not first thing on the morning. I look at it between certain set periods, because to me, that's my way of managing what influences are coming into my life. I don't want to be waking up on the morning and my day being a reflection of who've said what on my comments or what emails I've had. I want to wake up and feel happy, drinking my coffee or reading my book or going for a morning walk. I want that to be the start of my day, and that's how I let the rest of my day happen at my kind of control. Now, there's times when certain things happen and you've got to do certain things, but if you try and factor in as much simplicity as possible, I think that's a great way of coping with the stresses from coming home from a trail such as that. So now what I have been doing is pretty much getting up on a morning, having my coffee or reading my book, going for a walk on a morning with Derek, so we've got that proper quality time together. He goes to work, I start doing a bit of yoga, or if I'm going to do some running, I'll go running and have a shower, and then I kind of get dressed and ready for work, even though I work from home now. So I will sit at my desk and do a bit of writing. So at first it took me a while to get into it, but now I'm into it, it's becoming more of a habit. So I'll sit there, write for an hour or two, and then after that I'll have some lunch, do some more of my videos. So I've been keeping up on top of my videos, and I just keep everything in like blocks, and that's how I manage things now. And having that routine, and I think that's what is extremely important, is getting into some sense of routine when you get home, especially if you don't have like a full-time job. Get into a routine, and if you do have a full-time job, try and make space in your day for exercise or getting outside, because you've been outdoors for a very long time and you can never mimic trail life in real life. You just can't. Nobody can walk for 10 to 12 hours every single day when they've got to work and earn a living. It's just not possible. But just that half an hour of being outdoors, set your alarm early or go out when you get home from work, and it will make a huge difference. I am now, what has it been now, nearly 4 months since I've come home, and I would say I've ridden that wave and I'm out of it. Only just, I'm not gonna lie, I'm only just out of it. And I know I'm out of it because somebody hit my car the other day and I think even before the trail I'd have probably got a little bit stressed about it, but someone hit my car and it wasn't my fault because I was stationary. And normally I think you'd get quite anxious or annoyed or some kind of negative emotion, and I know if that had happened a couple of months before I'd have felt overwhelmed and stressed. But Derek came up to me and said, "This man's just hit your car," and I went up and started speaking to him, and I was like, "Oh, are you all..." I think my first question was, "Are you both okay?" And that was to them who'd hit my car. And afterwards he even said he was surprised about how calm I was. I was just like, oh well, there's nothing I can do about it. We exchanged details, sort it out afterwards. Oh well, I mean, I am now trying to look at life in very much that way. If I can't change something or influence anything, why am I going to worry about it? Why am I going to get upset about it? You know, people can say things or do things. If you can't control anything that happens or can't do anything, by getting upset or negative or feeling anything in that situation, it's just not worth it. I will get passionate about things I can control and do, and enthusiastic about things, but I'm not going to waste emotions on negativity and things like that I can't change. And one quote I remember reading a very long time ago was something about, you can't change what happens around you or what people say or do to you, but you can change your reaction. I mean, I'm not quoting it exactly, but that always resonates with me. You can change how you feel and you can control how you react, and I'm a big believer in that, and that's how I know I'm okay again, because I've got back to that place. So what am I up to now? Well, a few weeks ago I had somebody contact me and ask me about going on the PCT, and I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was some reporter asking me about my journey. I'd spent probably half an hour on the phone to him and he was asking me all these kind of random questions. And then he asked me for some photographs, if I could send in some pictures of my trip so he could see the scenery, see what my camp looked like and things like that, and some photographs of me. And I just thought nothing much of it. Never heard from him again. But one morning my home phone rang, which was unusual because not many people have that number in its X directory. But it was a journalist ringing me and asking me for more information on my story. And I was like, what story? I'm a bit confused. And she said, have you seen the newspapers today? And I went, no, why? And she went, you've got a full page spread in a newspaper. I had no idea. It was so weird. I was like, okay, and I was in my running gear at the time, so I kind of went straight to a shop, rung Derek, told him, he ran to a shop, got home, and I was in the newspaper. I was also on an online one, I was also on a Manchester Evening News one, so I was on like the Daily Mirror, the Daily Mail, Manchester Evening News. I was on all these different websites, and it was so weird, because to me, I'd just gone on this little trip, you know, but it was so funny seeing myself in the paper. I don't quite know how to process it. It was so strange. He did get a few things wrong, bless him. He said something about me, I think he said something that I'd only quit meat for 6 months before the trail. And I've been vegetarian since I was 30 years old and hadn't touched meat in 10 years. But I have been vegan only, is it 2.5 years, nearly 3 years. So that was a few things he got wrong. What was the other thing he said? Something like, I quit meat and then 6 months later I'm completely pain-free and I've never had a headache. And yes, I still suffer with headaches, but they're a lot better since I changed my lifestyle. And it made me laugh because the headline was that I'd tackled bears. And all I'd said was that I'd seen one in front of me whilst I was hiking on the trail and scared it away. But I didn't tackle any bears. So I think it's interesting looking at how the media twists things, but other than that, it was a really good story. I'll probably try and insert a picture of it somewhere here. And what was really good about that newspaper as well is that it even mentioned that I was writing a book about my journey, which I thought was amazing because I have got no idea how my book writing is going to go. I'm enjoying doing it, don't get me wrong. I've probably got 1/3 of the way through it already and I am absolutely loving it, but when I finish I've got no idea what to do with it. I don't know how to start looking into editors or publishing it, or absolutely no idea. So if there's anyone out there that knows about publishing a book or knows anybody, please feel free to let me know. I'll learn anything. But on that note, I've also set up a blog which is going to be completely separate from my YouTube, because I thought my YouTube is pretty much about hiking, maybe a bit of minimalism and some vegan stuff thrown in there as well. But I didn't want to then oversaturate YouTube with talking about writing all the time. So I'm not going to mention it again, but I'm going to keep it quite separate. So I've decided to do a blog post on it. And my blog post is hikertowriter.com. And I will put a link of that below as well. So if you want to follow me on that so you can get updates, please go ahead and do. I think there's a subscribe button on it. It's new to me, it's blogging, so bear with me. It's going to be a little bit rusty at this stage, but that's what I've got going on there. I'm also continuing doing my YouTube videos every Tuesday at 4 PM UK time, and then I throw some other extra ones in there every now and then, like my monthly favourites. We've also got plans this year to do 3 national trails in the UK. It was going to be 2 until last week. Derek called me from work and said, look, I've found a new trail called the John Muir Way up in Scotland. What do you think? And I'm like, yes, we've got to do that. But we wanted to also do these other 2 trails. And I was like, well, which one should we choose? And obviously then we just said, well, let's just do all 3, why not? Which means that we're actually going to be doing our first trip in about 3 weeks time, which we didn't plan for yet. We weren't planning on doing it for another few months. So we are going to be doing the Cleveland Way, which is a 110-mile long distance route. It's called long distance in the UK. And I think because, I mean, at the moment it's 0 degrees and I'm not quite ready to go camping in the freezing cold again. It was not fun. So I think what we're going to do is stay in B&Bs along the way, because a lot of the campgrounds are closed at this time of year as well. And in England, if you don't know already, you're not allowed to camp other than in campgrounds. You're not allowed to just wild camp, so we've got to follow the rules on that. But we'll definitely be camping when we do the other trips later in the year, so I am extremely looking forward to doing those with Derek, because he has never been camping or backpacking before, so that is going to be so much fun. But the first one is more going to be hiking for full days, probably about 20-21 mile days, something like that every day. I'm very much looking forward to that. And then I'm going to vlog it, so obviously there'll be extra videos because I'll be vlogging that whilst I'm doing it. So you get to see a bit of the world where I was brought up, because the Cleveland Way goes around Yorkshire, which is where I'm from originally. I'm also running, doing yoga, I'm doing a lot of hiking, so we're always hiking every day and trying to eat healthy as possible. And I think that is pretty much my update. If you have got anything you want me to do videos about, or any recommendations, or anything you'd like to see more on my channel, please feel free to let me know. I always like hearing new ideas. I think I've probably got a whole nother 30-40 different videos ideas planned that I want to do for the rest of the year, but any more is appreciated, and I'll try and do as many as I possibly can for you all. I knew that would happen. I knew I'd get distracted. I thought there was an owl. We saw an owl again this morning, and all of a sudden something just flew into this tree behind you. Well, not behind you, but behind the camera. And I thought it was an owl, but it's not. It's just one really big pigeon. Anyway, feel free to put any comments as usual down below, and I will reply as always. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.